Hi, everybody. It's Pastor Dave. I'm not able to be with you today, but before Pastor Jacob comes and shares the word with you today, I want to remind us that there's only 2 weeks until we get to Easter. And I want to ask you if you would partner with me in faith, believing for the greatest Easter we've ever had here in the history of Capital Christian Center. I believe if we'll partner in faith, we can see God do something incredible in our city and our community with the love of God. A couple ways I'm asking you to partner with us. Number one is if you have not yet been water baptized, I want to encourage you, sign up today. It's one of my favorite services of the year. This year, I'm believing to baptize 100 people at our 1 o'clock service. And it's a way that we identify with Christ. If you've never done that, the Bible teaches us that it's something we should do. It's symbolic of dying, the old man going down in death, but rising up in the new life that God has for us. I believe this helps us with our identity in Christ. I believe it strengthens and releases the new potential that God has for us. And so if you've not done that, or maybe you did it as a child or your parents did it as a child for you, I want to encourage you, make your own declaration of faith and sign up, and let's do this together. The second thing I want to ask you to partner with is in biblical hospitality. Last week, I introduced this idea of making room in our hearts and lives for new people. And biblical hospitality is the idea of the love of strangers or the love of new people. And one of the things that made Jesus so attractive was that he was hospitable. There's a story of a woman that was caught in adultery in the book of John. And when they brought her to be stoned, Jesus spoke words and says, "Whoever's without sin, let him throw the first stone." And they all disappeared. And he said to the woman something very powerful. "Woman, where are those who accuse you? Has no one condemned you?" And she said, "No one, Lord." And he said, "Neither do I condemn you. Now go and sin no more." He didn't give her a pass on her bad behavior, but he did invite her into a new life and a new relationship. But he started with hospitality. There's another story in the book of John in chapter 4 of a woman in Samaria. This woman had been married 5 times and she was living with somebody that wasn't her husband. She had relationship issues. But the Bible says that Jesus needed to go through Samaria. He was crossing a cultural barrier because at that day and time, Jews would often avoid a Samaritan city by walking all the way around it. Jesus decided he needed to go there because there was somebody that needed biblical hospitality. There's a passage of scripture that I want to share with you. It's in Matthew chapter 10, and it says, "He who receives you," Jesus is speaking, "receives me. And he who receives me receives him who sent me. He who receives a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward. And he who receives a righteous man in the name of a righteous man shall receive a righteous man's reward. And whoever gives one of these little ones only a cup of cold water in the name of the disciple, surely I say unto you, he shall by no means lose his reward." I love this because it's saying if people receive us, they can receive Christ. It says if you receive a prophet, someone bringing God's message in the name of a prophet, you receive that reward. Well, most of us don't feel like prophets or spiritual powerhouses. I know I don't. But also there are those that are righteous. He said, if you receive a righteous man, if you just receive a man that in relationship with God. Some of us might have struggled with that identity. But he says, if you just give a cup of cold water, that cup of cold water can be all the difference in the world to someone receiving Christ. A simple act of kindness can start a conversation. A simple act of kindness can cross a barrier. This is really how simple it is for us to be a light in the dark world, because in our culture today, kindness is foreign. We got road rage, we got social bullying, we've got bullying in schools, and so friendliness and kindness is something that actually is lacking in our culture today. A year ago, I was in Ghana, and while I was there, we were touring these schools where our libraries are at. And every classroom that we would walk in, the students would stand up and say, "How are you today, sir?" And the principal that was with us, he goes, "I'm fine. How are you?" And they would repeat back, "We are fine, sir. Thank you for asking." And it kind of blew me away. And so I had a conversation with the principal afterwards, and I said, That's amazing. I can tell you right now, there's a lot of teachers in the U.S. that would love to have those kids in their classroom. And we had a conversation about manners and hospitality and kindness. And he began to share with me that this was something that was very important to teach in their schools and in their denominations. And they want to be known for their manners. And that stuck with me. And then a couple of days later, when I was at the airport, I was meeting different people. Our plane was delayed. And I got talking to this one gentleman, and he was so polite and so kind. And I said, "Can I ask you a question?" He said, "Sure." And I said, "You wouldn't happen to be a member of the Church of Pentecost, would you?" And he looked at me all stunned and surprised. And he goes, "Why would you ask that?" And he goes, "Yes, I am." I go, "Because your manners gave you away." Wow, that's powerful. In our world today, simple acts of biblical hospitality, simple acts of kindness, a simple invitation to church, a simple desire to host someone and share the love of God with them can make a world of difference. I want to share with you this week's memory verse, and then Pastor Jacob's going to come and share the rest of the word with you today. But it's in Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 2. On 3, can you read this with me? 1, 2, 3. "Don't forget to show hospitality to strangers, for some who have done this have entertained angels without realizing it." Wow. Let's show hospitality to the people in our community, and let's be a light for Christ. So would you please welcome Pastor Jacob as he comes and shares the rest of the word with you today.
Hey. Hey. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Yay. Well, that brings back memories. The last time I team taught like this was 22 years ago in my very first sermon I ever preached. That brings back memories. You guys are like, "How old are you?" I'm old, okay? But that also brings back some other memories. See, back in Colorado started a 10-year war with a powerful corporation my wife and I had. We went to war with Applebee's. Yep. See, now before some of you get all judgy, okay? I have been a waiter, I have been a server, so I know what goes into it, all right? But the service was so bad, so many times in Iowa, that we vowed never to go to an Applebee's in Iowa again. All right? They really lost profit on us. Then we moved to Colorado, and we're like, all right, we'll give Applebee's a shot here. It took an hour and 25 minutes to get us 2 salads. So we vowed never to go to Applebee's in Colorado. So then we went to Washington. We're just gluttons for punishment. We landed, I was checking out of church, and I go, and we're like, let's try Applebee's here. It took like 35 minutes to get our water. We were done with Applebee's. I can say, though, we've reconciled, and I eat at Applebee's now. But for the longest time, when I saw Applebee's, I didn't see their good food. I didn't see the skillets and the smells. I saw bad service. Has that happened to you? Whether it's a hotel, whether it is as a restaurant, and you're like, I am not going back there. I don't care how good the food is. I will take a risk and have indigestion at the place that I don't really trust the food. But the service is great, and we go there instead. Hospitality is this bridge. It's this lens. It's this way that we look at an organization. We look at people. And so to Applebee's, that bridge was, I am not going there again. It's that way with the church as well. See, people on the outside, we are the bridge. We are that lens by which people see and experience Jesus. And if we don't take that seriously, when they look at who Jesus is, they're not going to see Jesus, they're going to see us. And we have to make it an effort, we have to make it a mission to function as this bridge of hospitality between those on the outside of Jesus' family and Jesus' family. We are that bridge. Now, some of you who are involved in one of our small group ministries here at Capitol, you've probably learned this acronym of HOST, H-O-S-T. And so you're familiar with it, but what we're going to do today, what Pastor Dave wanted to do is Pastor Dave wanted to take this acronym and actually expand it, not just to think about hospitality in a small group, but actually have it be a lens by which we look at how well we are being hospitable to those on the outside. And so we're going to walk our way through this. So you got your notes, you got your pens, ready to go. That first letter is H, a heart for people. A heart for people. It says in the book of Romans 5:8, God shows his love for us, and that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. This is compassion. If you read through the Gospels, you will see quite a few times where it says Jesus had compassion on them for they were this. Jesus had compassion on them for they were like this. Jesus had compassion on them. But what is that compassion? And this verse describes it. Compassion is loving someone where they are, not where they will be. We want them to get there, yes. But it is loving and seeing and having a heart for somebody where they are. Because what it says here is that God showed us his love, and that while we were still sinning, he didn't start loving us because we got good. He didn't start loving us because we suddenly started being righteous. No, he loved us while we were still sinning with no hope. That's when he loved us. So when we say have a heart for people, we have to have the heart and compassion of Jesus. That means loving people where they are. We hope they change. But even if they don't, we will still care for them. We will have compassion on them. We will see them. We will treat them as people made in the image of God, important enough for Jesus to die for. That is how we will see them. And that is where Jesus died for us, that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. But we have some roadblocks, though. There's some roadblocks that creep. These are just what I've noticed that make it a little challenging to love people who are different than we are. Now, it is really easy for us to love people like us, that smell like us, that act like us, that like the same things, right? Same background, same culture. It's really easy to like those people. It is really hard to like people who are different than we are, right? Because they're a little weird to us. And you can generally look around your people, and you look around, you're like, wow, we all look the same and act the same and talk the same and have the same interests, right? So it can harder to love. So we have these roadblocks that we encounter. Here's one of our roadblocks. It's harder to love people when we remove their individuality. We like to group people up in these sort of categories, and these categories just seem to constantly grow and get bigger and bigger. Just think about how people talk about somebody who voted for somebody else. Them, they, those guys. Them. See, it's easy. So anytime one person makes a mistake, everybody of them is like that. Because of them all of them. And we sometimes sneer, and we listen to the press, and we listen to this, like, oh, it's them. So as soon as you hear such and such, like, well, yeah, I voted for this. Oh. And then we bring every single bad thing of everything we know of everybody else and pile it onto that one person. We can't love that person because now that person is the personification of everything we are against. And then we avoid them. Instead of slowing down and be like, you are a person. It doesn't mean you hold to every single thing of every other viewpoint. You're unique. You're made in the image of God. You have unique experience, unique background, and a unique perspective. I can see you as an individual. And since I can see you as an individual, I can now have compassion on you. So we can't remove people's individuality. We have to look at people as unique individuals who were so important that Jesus felt compelled to sacrifice and die for. And when we have that perspective, we can have compassion on them. Another roadblock is we don't understand. We don't take time to understand their perspective. Because every one of us is from a unique background, a unique perspective, a unique family makeup. We've had unique traumas and situations that happen to us. Some of us are born in different places. So the way we look at things is always different. And sometimes, this is just an example, sometimes we're like, I have been blessed to have been able to live in a house with 4 walls or an apartment with a roof on my head because I work hard. My own hard work, I refuse to let that happen. Well, there's a lot of people down in California who had the exact same work ethic. And that fire, you remember that fire that was ripped through entire towns? They ended up in a place where they never imagined was possible. They lost their house. They lost houses, entire neighborhoods. And it wasn't because they were lazy. They paid their insurance. And now suddenly, though, when they're like, hey, I paid my premiums, I paid all my stuff, and now we're going to go to this process. This is unfortunate, but I paid. And the insurance company's like, oh, yeah, by the way, while your house was on fire, we pulled back and said, we can no longer cover your house because it's in a fire zone. Hold up. I paid. What was I paying for years? That's why California actually went in and said, no. You guys can't keep doing this to people. They paid. But here's people now stuck in lawsuits. Their house is gone. They have nowhere to live. And now they're in a unique position that they never thought they would have been in. See, we don't slow down and understand that, maybe if I had the same background, the same upbringing, the same parents, the same examples, and had the same stuff, I probably would have made the exact same decisions they did. We have to slow down and try and understand people to have compassion. It doesn't mean we have to agree with them, but it does mean we need to understand them. In order to have compassion, we need to understand. We need to slow down. Another roadblock that we'll encounter is we don't have time. Loving people, having care for people, and having a heart for people is hard work. It takes time. Have you ever asked someone how they were doing? And then you got a little more than you were hoping for? Oh no, I didn't mean that. I just wanted to fist bump you. And next thing you know, we're talking about some trauma or something happened. And now I'm stuck here and I'm supposed to have a heart for you, but I don't have a heart for you right now. Ooh. Can I hand them off to somebody else? No, it's just like I'm stuck here. Because it takes time. This is a roadblock that we have to slow ourselves down. Or maybe get further enough ahead. So when these things happen, we're able to show compassion for them. Now, second one, here's the O. Open your life. How good is a bridge if it's never opened? That's right. And how good is it? It looks pretty. Yeah. Can it get me across the river? Well, no. When's it going to open? It's going to be open tomorrow? Probably not. Oh, why are we building this again? There was a bridge in my home city, Colorado Springs, that took 8 years to build. And when I say 8 years to build, it was like 8 years of it just sitting there doing nothing because apparently some bank in Germany went bankrupt and the whole thing went there. So we just had this ugly half-built bridge that we drove under for 8 years. How good was that bridge? It was not good at all. How good are we as bridges if we never open up our lives for people? If I want somebody from the outside to be introduced to Jesus, and I'm the bridge, and I'm never opened for people on the outside to cross over and get to know Jesus, what good am I as a bridge? We're not very good at it. We have to open up our lives. It says in Matthew chapter 10, verse 40, you heard Pastor Dave say it here a few minutes ago, whoever receives you, Jesus says, receives me. And whoever receives me, receives him who sent me. People see Jesus through you. That's sort of intimidating, isn't it? Because sometimes I look at me, I'm like, I'm not very Jesus-like right now. I'm not a very good bridge. Yeah. You are it. We have to open up our lives because people have questions. And then when they start crossing, they have to have the time and the space to be able to ask those things. Because To them, Jesus is scary. Because we like to go to the extremes. That means if you start to follow Jesus, you're going to end up being a missionary in Africa, and that's terrible. But that's what people think on the outside. They just know people for Jesus do crazy things. And as soon as I say yes, next thing you know, I'm on a boat, and I'm over there, and I don't want to do that. So they're slow, and they're hesitant. They have questions to ask. And if you open up your life, it allows them to be able to ask questions and see like, oh, wow, if everyone who follows Jesus goes to Africa and has to eat grasshoppers, why are all these Christians still here? Oh, okay. People are able to slow down. They're able to experience it because you have opened your life up. So what are some ways we can do this? And the first one is we can adjust your life for others. Do you know actually being a bridge, you have to connect to the other side, right? I mean, you can't really be a half bridge. You have to connect to the other side. And that means if we're going to connect to the other side of people who are on the outside to show hospitality, we have to land somewhere. And that means we have to adjust our schedule for places where people on the outside hang out. People on the outside go. Yeah, you're like, I really like to sleep in on a Saturday morning. That's cute. Everybody with parents are like, I haven't done that in decades. Okay, but maybe I want to coach bowling. Well, I can do that on a Saturday morning. We have to adjust our schedule in order to coach bowling with people who are on the outside. Or maybe you decide to be part of a quilting club or whatever it happens to be. You have to adjust your schedule in order to land and be near people who are on the outside. Yes, we have to adjust our schedule, adjust our lives. Now, another one there is we have to think quantity over quality. How many of you have tried to just manufacture quality time with your kids? You're like, kids, we're just going to have a grand old time right now. And their kids are like, I have another idea. How about I become a psychopath right now? And oops, I ate something I shouldn't. Now I have massive indigestion. Mom, I pooped my pants. And you're like, quality time is over. You can't just manufacture and make quality time out of nowhere. See, quality time happens when we spend a quantity amount of time with people. As they get to know you, then they trust you, and then they're able to share things with you. It's like walking up to someone and saying, hey, I want you to tell me the deepest and darkest secrets in your life. Yeah, no. This guy's like, I don't even know if I'll be here next week because that's intimidating. But I can't ask that because he doesn't know me. I don't know him. There's no trust there. We can't do it. Now, over time, if we got to know each other, and we hung out together, and he saw how I acted, and he saw I wasn't a weirdo, and okay, all right, and I wasn't judgmental. Now he's more willing to say, hey, I'm actually struggling in this area. Can we talk about it? And since I have been opened for an extended period of time, a quantity amount of time, quality time happens. So when you get involved with the community and those on the outside, we have to think we're not this one-hit super Christian wonder where we walk into a room, everyone gets saved and go to church with you. We have to realize it is a grind, it is an everyday, it is a weekly, it is a process to spend quantity amounts of time with people. And then that quality comes out of it and allows those conversations to happen. And we can hopefully introduce them to Jesus. That make sense? Think quantity, okay, over quality. Now, Acts chapter 28 is this really, it's a huge encouragement. Because when you open up your lives, it can be a little scary. It can be a little intimidating. You can get hurt. And when we get hurt, sometimes we're like, I'm never opening up my life again for anybody ever. See, there's that no individuality thing. Everybody's always trying to do something, and now we throw the baby out with the bathwater, and we're done with it. We're done opening up. Yes, you're probably going to get hurt sometimes because we're people, and we live with people, and people sin, and sin hurts. But what happened here in Acts chapter 28 is I think the mentality that we need to have, because Paul was on his way to Rome and his ship crashed. And they crashed and they were pretty much went to shore. I forgot the word there. They shipwrecked the shore, whatever, we got it. They went to shore. They have no food. They have no water. It is starting to rain. It is cold. They have nothing. And this island of Malta, these people there with no Christianity go out of their way and show hospitality to these people. And there was this chief named Publius, and he welcomed them in his home for 3 days. Now that's going to cost a little bit. There's going to be some resources, there's going to be some money there. But he opened up his life to them. And in the process, Paul, while he is there in his life, finds out that his dad is sick with fever and dysentery and is probably going to die. And since Paul was welcomed into his home, Paul was able to actually bring healing to this man. And then actually the entire island also benefited from this. See, when you give to people, when you open your life up to people, you go in with this mentality of I'm going to give to you and I'm going to try to make a difference for you. But what ends up happening is God's like, yes, I will use you in their life, but I will actually use them in your life in ways you can't even imagine. It happens every time. I have been the benefit of a group of people where all I do is try to meet with them on a regular basis and talk to them about the Bible. And I love on them and I try to help them be better people and help them in various areas. And the things that they have done for me blow me away. All I'm trying to do is invest in you. And they're like, yeah, we'll help you move and we'll help you paint and we'll bring food for you and we'll hang out and we'll cover and we'll do this and we'll do this and we'll do this. And I'm like, whoa, I was trying to minister to you. And actually you're now ministering to me. So it might be scary. You might get hurt sometimes, but it is worth it because in the end, you're going to get a lot more good than you are bad. So we have to open up your lives. All right, the next one is this S, that is serve. Serve. I have a theological question for you. What good would it have been if Jesus had a heart for people and came to earth, opened up his life for people and brought a whole bunch of people in, and then, right before the cross, said, all right, I'm out, and left? It would do nothing. Jesus had to serve and give his life to get us forgiveness for our sins. He had to die. He had to serve in that way. What good is it if you love people and you open up your heart to people, but you never serve? Service validates your message. It shows what you are, what you believe actually does something, actually matters. People, when they're crossing over the bridge, they need to see that the bridge works. I think I would be the most hesitant person being the first person to cross that bridge. We built it, it's stable. You go first. The same thing. When we serve, it's saying, okay, this person cares. He's opened up his life, and he's putting his money where his mouth is. He's actually serving. He believes it. Because when we serve, it costs us something. It costs us our time, our energy, our makeup. We get all invested into it. So service validates your message, and we have to keep serving. So I have two questions for you. Because I can speak... Any half-decent pastor anywhere can do a whole sermon series on service because it's all over the Bible, isn't it? But I'm just going to ask you two questions to help you look at your service. Now, this first question might be a little triggering, but is your service actually meeting a need? Because a lot of times we're like, yeah, I'm serving, yeah, I'm just so serving people, but your service actually isn't doing anything for anybody. Is your service actually meeting a need? So it says there in James chapter 2, verses 15 and 16, it says, if a brother or sister is poorly clothed and lacking in daily food, and one of you says to them, go in peace, be warmed and filled. The translation here is you see someone in need, and your response is thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. How good is thoughts and prayers to the person who's like, I just need a little food? I will pray for you to have food as we walk away with our Coke and our Big Mac. Thoughts and prayers, buddy. What good is it? James is like, it is. There's no good for it. There's not good. So is our service if it doesn't actually meet someone's need. Yes, pray for them. But most likely, God has put you in that place to actually meet that need. God, I just pray for this person and their need. Okay, just pray for it. And God's like, good, perfect. I'm glad you prayed. I've answered it. Just pray that you bring the person into this poor soul's life that can help him, that can help her. God, we put our hands on him, really good. God's like, good, you're closer, almost. Amen. Well, good luck. That's what happens. So is your service actually meeting a need? Sometimes, though, you're going to find out that you actually don't have the skills and the abilities to do that. So you might need to actually find somebody else, connect them to somebody else. We might need to do that. But is your service meeting a need? Now, the second question is, are you asking or are you assuming what they need? Okay, and husbands, apparently, or wives say this about us. I don't know if it's true or not. I haven't stopped to listen long enough to figure this out if this is true or not. But apparently, they have this need, and they're trying to have a need, okay? They have something, and it's something hard, and we listen, and we're like, look, dear, if you just do these two things, there wouldn't be a problem anymore. And I was like, yeah, that's right, thank you. The last service, no one was helping me out here. The guys were silent, okay? If you just listen there, and the wife's like, that's not what I'm asking for. I know how to fix it. It just hurts right now. I want you to listen. Oh, listening. That's a hard one. Because we assume we know the answer, but it's not actually what they need. So there's a passage in Luke 18 that I came across this week. And there's a question here that if we take this question, take this mentality that Jesus did, oh man, the doors that could be open are be really, really cool. So Jesus, as he draws near to Jericho, there's a blind man sitting by the roadside begging. And hearing a crowd going by, he inquired what this meant. And they told him, Jesus of Nazareth is passing by. And he cried out, Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me. And those who were in front rebuked him, telling him to be silent. They weren't very good bridges, were they? Be quiet. Jesus doesn't have time for blind people. Stop. Stop talking. Sit down. Stay in your place. This is for us people. This is for us. He was a little stubborn. He knew what he wanted. He knew what he needed. And he cried out all the more, Son of David, have mercy on me. And Jesus stopped. And he commanded him to be brought to him. And when he came near, and here's the question, this is what he asked him. What do you want me to do for you? There's no assuming here. The guy could have said, I just want a hamburger. And Jesus is like, okay, for a one wish, that's a weird one, but here you go. But he doesn't. The man says, I want my sight recovered. See, but you see how Jesus didn't make the assumption? And if we ask this question to someone, it's going to shake them up a little bit too, because I bet they haven't been asked it. Because they're going to look at you and they're like, well, do you happen to know a mechanic? Or do you know someone who can, I have a family member who's in the hospital and I have to work and I can't be with that person. Can you just hang out and play cards with them? Can you just help me? See, when we ask, what do you want me to do for you, there's no assumptions. And they're able to then straight ask you what it is they need, because sometimes they don't know yet. They know they're in need. They know they're having a hard time. They know they're struggling, but by asking that question, it puts them on the spot and allows you to wait. And they're like, this is what I need from you. I just need you to help me find this. Can you help me out here? Can you do this for me? I don't know. Actually, I just need someone to sit here and listen. Okay, I can do that. And other times we're going to hear like, I can't, but I know someone. Or I can't right now. How about we do it tomorrow? Let's schedule this. So don't assume, ask. And lastly is this last one. Have you scheduled times of service? This is a This all goes back to our busyness. It's not real until it's in your Google Calendar. Because we're scheduled, and sometimes we just have to say, I have to schedule this and make this official. I will serve here. Because I don't see it, because I'm too busy. I'm too consumed with what's going on. I have 3 kids. I have this. Man, my brain is all over the place. But here it is. I got to go serve. We're able to go. We're able to do it. But we have to schedule it. Just because of how busy we are. Now, the last one here is the T. That's testify about Jesus. It says in Romans chapter 10, verse 14, Paul says, how then will they, those on the outside, call on him if they have not believed? So you can't make a declaration of faith unless you have something to believe in. But how are they believe in him if they've never heard about him? Because the message they're supposed to believe, they haven't even heard it yet. So how can they call on it if they haven't believed, if they don't have a message? And that last one, how are they to hear without someone preaching? You have to have someone telling the message about Jesus in order for someone to hear it. And then as they hear it, they will then decide to believe it. And then when they believe it, they can call out in faith. But it begins with telling. We have to tell. Now I say that and you're like, I am great at the H. I am great at the O. I am awesome at the S. But as soon as you tell me to tell somebody else about Jesus, I'm done. I don't even know what church I go to. I forgot the whole Bible. I'm done. It's like, you know what I'm talking about? Some of you are like, oh man, he's talking to me. I am. I'm trying to give you a little encouragement here. Because we come in, when we start talking about Jesus, and we have this weird thing in our minds sometimes that we just imagine it's time to battle royal. It's time, I'm going to knock this person right to heaven. And we go in and we're like, and we start quoting verses, and we got to defend the faith, and we're like, what ya? Eat that verse, person. And they're like, oh yeah? And then they ask a question. It's like, we're like, I don't know the answer to that. Well, I tried. And then we leave. Because that's how we view this, telling people about Jesus. It's this fight. I got to fight them. I got to wrestle them to heaven. But you think about your experience, most of you did not have that experience. Some of you, someone just told you about Jesus. You're like, that sounds awesome. I want in, and you believed. So when you testify about Jesus, what I'm asking you to do is just tell your story. That's it. I was here. I believed in Jesus here, and now I live like this, and this is what I believe. And you're not going to hear someone say, No, I'm going to tell you my story again. I was here, and then I believed this, and then this is how I live differently. And people are going to be like, that didn't happen. No, I was like this a few years ago. And just 2 years ago on this date, I accepted Jesus, and now I'm living like this. Most people, even if they don't believe it, will give you, like, okay, that's cool. I'm glad that happened to you. I'm glad you had that change in your life. See, we have this mentality where people are always going to be mean to us. I grew up in a church, they were always telling you, you got to fight the world. You got to let them. Everyone's out there ready to get you. But you think about Jesus, you know who hated Jesus? It wasn't the normal everyday people who were struggling in need. They loved the dude. It was the religious people who thought they had their life all figured out. So if we're just living normal, living kind, living gently, living with a heart for people, opening up our lives for people and serving people, no one's gonna be mean to you because they like it. You know how kindness, they like people being kind. Why would you be mean to someone being kind to you? Now, occasionally there's the one ding dong, okay? There's always the one ding dong. But the rest of people are like, you know what? They're a little weird. Christians are a little weird, but they're sweet. They're nice. They care. They'll bend over backwards to help me out. I can't fault them. So, okay, I'll listen. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Just let me, and you just tell the story. And that's it. But I will encourage you, though, when we do that, I would encourage you, this last one, I would encourage you to actually have one verse memorized that tells the gospel, okay? Please, just one. So start here, this is how he lived, and then right here, I believe John 3:16. I believe this. I believe something that just sort of describes what Jesus has done, what he promises, and then this is how I've changed and live. And when we just do that, it's a whole lot easier just to tell the story of Jesus and how he's made a difference in my life. Now, we have this application. So next slide. Oh, okay, perfect. So we are right here. What we're asking people to do is join a small group, because some of you are on the outside right now, and welcome. We're glad you're here. And you're like, okay, I'm curious. I'm willing to check this out. Is there a place where people are opening up their lives where I can ask questions? Right here. So this is the QR code you would scan. You get involved in a small group. This is where you want to go. So this is it. Now the rest of you might not be in one, and you're like, okay, I can have a heart for people. I can open up my life for people. I can serve. We have another spot for you, and that's this one. That's the hosting a small group. Now, I can tell you, when it comes to hosting, we're thinking in our minds, I'm going to have to be a mini preacher, and I'm going to be fighting people with the gospel. No, all you have to do is be able to moderate a conversation. And so what this means is, you got to be able to do this. So here is our material. What do you think about the material? That's nice. What do you think? Nope, it's not your turn yet. What do you think? No, it's not your turn yet. What do you think about it? That is great. What do you think about it? That's it. Moderating a conversation. And their small group leaders will help you back that up. Some of you are like, okay, that sounds great. I'm not a talker, because I wouldn't be nice. I'd be fighting the person. But let me tell you, though, I have a house, though, with enough room for a small group. And I can make zucchini bread. And zucchinis don't even have to be in season. I just make it. You know who you are. I can do that. We want you to sign up here, because what we want is we want people who are able to moderate conversation, to have someone with them, able to help facilitate those conversations and provide snacks. And you guys are going to be a dream tag team superstars. Because here at Easter, it's coming. People are going to want to join and hear the message of Jesus, and we need places. So please consider scheduling and opening up your lives for people on the outside. Walk them through and introduce them to Jesus. We have an incredible responsibility where people on the outside do not know Jesus. But Jesus, when he hung up on that cross, he spread his arms to the left and to the right. For anybody on any side, anywhere, he died. And he did that. He was the bridge between God and humanity, that humanity is destined for a place we don't want to go. And then there's eternal life. And Jesus is like, I bridged that gap. And what we do is we serve as like mini bridges between them and Jesus. Let me introduce you to someone who saved my life. God has, and you can just think in your own life, there was somebody there in your own life that was that bridge for you. Whether it was a pastor, a teacher, a mom, a dad, a brother, a sibling, a coach, whoever it was that bridge. And we're asking you to be those bridges of hospitality for others. Well, can you please stand for me here? We're going to invite our prayer team up. If you have questions or some bridges you would like to process through, they'll be here to be able to help you with that. Let me pray for you. God, we just give you the glory here this morning. We love you and we thank you for all that you do. Help us to live as hosts. Help us to live as bridges of beautiful hospitality towards those on the outside trying to know Jesus. We love you and we give you the glory. In Jesus' name, amen.